Hey YouTube, Zeno King here. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make a video about this, but since I'm such a small channel, but it kind of felt wrong not to. Felt like I should probably just make at least a little something. Everybody's coming out there and saying their best memories about Dragon Ball and how it impacted their lives, and it's kind of a hard thing to sink in because Toriyama was a very private person, but you'd always hear from him here and there. He was always just kind of like this mythical figure in all our lives. So it's kind of hard to say that, it's kind of hard to say that I was like emotionally distraught by his passing, but I was definitely saddened. And it affects everyone differently. But it just kind of had to sink in a little bit because this man that I've never met, that I didn't really know, because like I said, he was very private. It was hard to see a lot of how he was aside from what he would say, what he would put out to the world. Um, and yeah, after this, the news of his passing happened already. It's already been a full day, I guess. Technically, happened last night. It's 11:58 for me at night right now, and I just wanted to say how I feel about, like, show my appreciation for this man because he really did change my life as it did for many people. And it felt wrong to not just say it in passing. Um, Dragon Ball, of course, is an international phenomenon, probably the most well anime or manga in the world. And it's a lot of places, it is almost, for a lot of places, it's actually crazy how popular it is that it's like almost part of the culture. And I've said it before, I'm Hispanic. I would only watch Dragon Ball at first. I could only watch it in Mexico. We would go over to Mexico and I could watch it in my family's house, and I'd be always, aware of the time. Have to go turn on the TV and make sure I catch the episodes, the original Dragon Ball. And I don't know, I have very fuzzy memories about this because I definitely watched all of Dragon Ball when I was a kid, but when I lived in the United States, and whenever we come back to the United States, I used to live in LA. I don't think where I was at, I would get Spanish television. Eventually, I think I started getting Spanish television. And if I didn't there in LA, then I got it when I moved to, I live in El Paso, Texas, so it's still a border town, much closer to Mexico. And of course, I watched Dragon Ball in the Spanish dub. It was great, in my opinion. The Spanish dub is really, really good. Um, and the thing about the Spanish dub is that all the music was the Japanese score and the intros. So it was very surprising to me to hear the English Rock the Dragon. It was very surprising to me to hear all these different soundtracks. Like, everybody knows the Faulkner soundtrack for Dragon Ball Z and all that. I didn't know it. I wouldn't recognize it. Now I kind of know some of the tracks, of course, but some of them are iconic, I guess. But to me, they weren't. I had the Japanese music because the Spanish dub only dubbed the voices. It didn't change anything else. So the songs, the intros were sang in Spanish, but it was still, those Japanese songs. And so yeah, Spanish dub, Canal 5. So a lot of you guys grew up with it, probably watching Toonami. If you're that old, you're watching it on Toonami. But for us, it was Canal 5 for us, all us Hispanics. And it was like, I don't know if you guys seen Truth's video or anybody else's videos. We were all in the same boat though. Whether even if the Spanish stuff was usually behind, we all were watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z so obsessively, and then it would start over from the Raditz saga, and it was just heartbreaking every time, and and it would feel so deflating to go back all the way to the first episode of Dragon Ball Z to go back to Raditz, and but then we just watch it all over again. So a lot of us watch Dragon Ball Z multiple times, and the original Dragon Ball. But for me, even though I watched all of the original Dragon Ball, like I said, those first few years it was spotty. I don't think we had Spanish channels in LA for whatever reason. And then once I moved to El Paso, Texas, I probably was like 6 or 7. I was good, but yeah, I watched Dragon Ball Z so many times. Uh, and when the episodes would advance forward, it was just like the most hype day ever. I wouldn't know, of course. There was no internet back then. You were just turning on the TV and hoping, praying to God that the episodes would move forward, that the storyline would move forward. And oh my God, and like I was there for when, you know, Goku went Super Saiyan for the first time. That was the most mind blowing thing for a kid. I don't know. I don't even know how old I was. I must have been like 9, 8. I'm not sure. I remember all the I remember all the merch. The merch was nuts. That era, the art, everything about the merch was so good looking. It just looked good. It's hard to explain, but that the art style. There was like poker cards that I remember so vividly with the awesome art style of like Super Saiyan 3. All that, of course, this was a little bit later once I got to the Majin Buu saga. All that stuff, Trunks, like all the art, it's just so legendary, so iconic in my mind. Core memories. And it was just Dragon Ball Z was just it's just that anime. Even if I think now that I've probably narratively probably I think probably Attack on Titan is probably the best anime or manga, just narratively speaking, there's nothing that compares to Dragon Ball Z. Like just the hype factor. It's just Dragon Ball just knew how to do it, and even Super, in my opinion, gets to those levels. Even though it had its up and downs, it just can capture hype in the way no other, in my opinion, any other anime or manga has ever been able to. For Toriyama to have passed away at age 68 is so it's just so saddening to me because it felt like he just had much more to give. And even if he wasn't like full hands-on control on any of the Dragon Ball properties anymore, he was just, I think, gone too soon. And it's just very saddening that this man that has influenced me and so many people's lives just is just now gone. But his impact to the world is just legendary. I don't know. There's very few artists that can impact the world so thoroughly. Or I butchered the way I said that word, but it's like his impact is insane. It's like I said, for Mexico, for Latin America, for like all Hispanics that living in the border of the United States. Like I'm telling you, Mexico, even here now, I see it here and there. There's places that straight up are just Dragon Ball Z themed, or like in Mexico, there's ice cream trucks that look like Goku or whatever. Like there's shops and stuff that are like called like Saiyajin, Saiyan, or go like whatever. Like it's damn near part of the culture, and that is the case in some other countries as well that I probably don't know as well because I just don't know it. But that's the kind of reach that Dragon Ball property has, and it's just wonderful to think that Toriyama just touched so many people's lives, touched the culture, and even to this day, with all the animes that people like to argue about which is best or what's not, blah blah blah. All of them were inspired, almost entirely all of them. Honestly, all the most famous ones are probably heavily inspired by Dragon Ball, like One Piece, Naruto. Those are obvious. Bleach was obviously those are the big three. But like even My Hero, One Punch Man to an extent, even though it's much more violent in a way. Uh, a lot of animes are just influenced by this one man, and it's it's sad to see him go, and my wishes, my thoughts are with the family and everything. Like it's sad that he went so early and unexpectedly. It's nice to think that to like just to see the news, like people are, even China, who hates Japan, recognized and mourned and made a statement about Akira Toriyama. I think I saw that the president of France made a post about it as well. Macron, like the BBC made a whole news article. Like this man is a goat. He actually is one of the greatest of all time, and the impact he made to me as a child and now even as an adult is just forever. It's just like it will just he will stay with me forever, even though I never knew him, and there is beauty in that. So yeah, he will be missed. Um, I'm guessing Dragon Ball Daima is the last thing that he was truly involved in. Um, and I think that when that series comes out, it's gonna hit in a whole different level, because the characters are kind of back to kids, and that charm, that that magic of the original Dragon Ball. I won't be able to help not remembering that. Like it'll be it'll be so heartfelt throughout that whole little mini series or whatever, and it's called. It's gonna hit a lot different now to see Goku as a kid because well now Toriyama, who started it all with Goku as a kid, is gone, and it was the last thing he touched. There's kind of like a circle there, like a sad but perfect circle there, and but we can all honor him when that series comes out. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Some just he will be missed. Even like I said, even though he wasn't the main guy in charge of all things Dragon Ball now, he was always around. He was always doing designs. You know, he was just he's just irreplaceable. But well, yeah, it's kind of hard to articulate my thoughts, but I did want to at least make a quick video about this and just you know express my appreciation to him because I have this channel, even if it's a small little channel that it's just for fun. Might as well because he just meant that much to me and to a lot of people, and I felt like I should share my love for him and how he's impacted my life. So if any of you guys have watched this, thank you for hearing me rant about, well, not rant, but spill my guts, I guess, about the great Akira Toriyama, and may he rest in peace. And thanks for everything, Akira Toriyama. Thank you for everything.